Hey, Sean here, part of Digital Genius Radio, co-host along with Chris Baden. Today, we brought Ashley Krooks back, and we wanted to do a deep dive Q&A with her. So, enjoy this one. It's awesome.
Welcome to Digital Genius Radio, the #1 podcast focused on guiding you to becoming a certified digital genius. We believe you can have it all by mastering social media paid advertising. We spent the last 3 years studying the most brilliant marketers today and applying their techniques. We've broken free of the 9-to-5 and successfully built a 7-figure online certification platform. From working with hundreds of clients, we found that most are overwhelmed or scared to actually dive into paid advertising. And this podcast is here to give you the cheat codes so you can flourish with your social media channels. Join us and follow along as we continue to learn, apply, and share proven strategies, as well as give you the insights on how to win online with social media paid advertising. And now, here's your hosts, Chris Baden and Sean Malone. I love it. There's a lot of stuff I want. Before we jump into the questions in the chat roll, and we'll have Chris kind of ask some of those. I just want to know a couple of questions I had that I think are very valuable for a lot of people. Because a lot of people, when they see you or us or some other people, like those people, like how much previous knowledge before getting into this business do you think played a role in this business for you?
So I didn't really have much previous knowledge at all. So I don't think it played into it. I do believe that people's past experiences are going in different ways are going to help them with this business. So like, even if it's not something that you had like with, with anything marketing, I think the fact, that I had all those years, a lot of people start this right in their young 20s. So like at that point, there's so much life experience that you could go through as well to get there. For me, I started this in my late 20s. So like I had already gone through a lot of growth and different things. So so I don't think any experience is necessary, but I think just think about where you're at in your journey in your life and like things that, and don't compare because I've had to deal with a lot of stuff like before I found this business, to get to where I am now and to get to the growth. So, you don't need any experience, but just kind of think about your past and what skills you had that have helped you like in this business in ways. It doesn't have to be online, but just like
yes,
mindset.
That was a great answer. My next question was this. When you first started, I want you to go back in your mind just for a second. When you first started, and 2 questions here. How many ad attempts did it take you before you hit it out of the park? Okay. And you got the help from that. And what was the thing that you had to overcome in the beginning? The biggest.
Yeah, for sure. So, ad attempts for me, I feel like, so I will say, for me, initially I was getting like $9 leads, $11 leads and stuff. I remember when I got my first like $5 lead cost, I freaked out and I was like, can I scale now? Like, can I scale? So it definitely took some time. But for me, it was probably my, maybe like fifth or, well, I guess in regards to like actual ad copy that I wrote I can't even remember, but I think it might have been like my maybe like 5th or 6th ad. So for me, it honestly didn't take so many ads, but I did start at about like $15 a day and went to 20. I just wanted like stuff to happen, so I was spending money initially as well.
That's awesome. All right. Before we get to the chat, I just want to ask 2 other questions. Number 1, what's the biggest grind period that you remember going through? Because this business, like every business, has ebbs and flows. So what's the biggest grind, and how valuable is being resourceful and using your resourcefulness in the business?
Yeah, for sure. So I think, I think a few things as well. I think for me, I know you asked in the last question, like the biggest hurdle. And I think just the biggest hurdle for me has been like mindset. Like, and as I said, you literally change as a person. So it has been like going through all of that, which has been the most awesome thing, but also so hard. You're breaking yourself down to then build yourself up. So I think for me, that was it. And then in regards to the grind period, I mean, honestly, I feel like for that first year, or especially, for at least for that first year, even especially like maybe like January to March of last year or so, like it was, I mean, I was grinding like really hard. I feel like I was literally like, yeah, I mean, anything and everything that I could do, anything that I could learn, figure out. Like, I mean, I was responding to people like instantly, like literally doing everything, not going out, not like doing, not doing things during the week that I thought would interfere on the weekend, stuff like that. So definitely putting in the time for sure, so that I could travel and do all of this now. And then what was your last question that you said?
No, how important is using resourcefulness in your life?
Yeah, I mean, I think that is honestly like the number one skill that someone could have. Actually, I think it's funny. Sean at one point a while back had me fill out, and a few other people, but some I can't like questionnaires or whatnot about. And one of the things was what our best quality was, or what like the most important quality we had was. And for me, I put resourcefulness, because I honestly think it is the most important thing, hands down, that you can do, because there's so many resources out there, and like with DGL, there are like an overwhelmingly amount of resources, especially now. But the thing is, if you don't actually take the time to be resourceful and to go after them, and to find where they are for you, and to make yourself, if someone can tell you the answer to a question, but you're never going to learn that way. Like, unless you take the time to actually find that answer or to figure it out, like that's how you're truly going to learn and truly going to grow. So I think it is so, so important.
Yeah, right. Right on, Ashley. All right. So we got some questions in the chat roll, and I was just responding to one of them that we're going to fire off at you. All right. First one is, what would you say to those people who do not have the support from their significant others?
I think, I mean, honestly, my response, like, I'm trying to filter it actually, because I think that, I am so, so grateful that Cam was always there to support me. And he knew, whatever I could do. And so I think that, trying to be nice about this, to be honest, because I think that they should always support you. However, if they don't, I think that, it's important, you just have to realize that you're on this path for you. You see something that they might not see yet. And, maybe they haven't gone through the whole process. They don't know the community. So you just have to really focus on understanding that as they start seeing changes in you, and, you have to go after your dreams and what you want, that they will start supporting you, and they'll start seeing those changes and start wondering what's happening to you and why you're becoming so happy, or why you're growing so much. And then they will join you, or at least, support you. So I think it's just realizing they're just trying to protect you. Like, they don't know what this is. They don't know what's going, kind of all the potential with it. So I would say just, approach them and kind of with like compassion, understand where they're at, but understand too that it's your life and you have to go after your dreams. And if you feel that this is the vehicle to get there, then just keep grinding every single day at it, and notice that, and know that they will see those changes in you, and that as they start seeing you stick with it, their perspective will change as well.
Right on, right on. Sean says flawless answer. Next question is, what is the balance of your time between training your team and running your own business?
I think that is definitely always a balance. I think it's just figuring, it ebbs and flows, I think, honestly, figuring out like, when to, I think I'm always answering messages or thinking of better systems and trying to do things for the team, but also at that point trying to, make sure I have stuff in place for our business as well, that we can consistently have either running in the background or, getting everything really set up. So I think, I think honestly, it's kind of finding that 50-50 balance on average. And then it definitely does, ebb and flow in certain instances when one or the other needs more attention or more help. But I think it definitely is a balancing act as well to, manage your own business and then provide and help with everything.
Whichever one's squeakiest gets the oil. Is that what I'm hearing? Do you ever block out certain days, like, hey, this day I'm going to box out and work on the business, or this day I'm going to try to load up more of the team stuff?
Yeah, I mean, certain days I will do like calls on, and so that will be very heavy for the team. And then certain times I really like using like the notes app for to-do lists. It's kind of basic, but it does make me feel like a lot more organized. And I've been using more of Trello, but really just kind of just jotting down everything I have to do. And then if I can bulk stuff up. So if I have more stuff for the team that I have to do, like I've been recording certain videos or doing certain things, then I'll like account those days for it. But because we're kind of so all over the place with traveling and stuff, my days aren't as structured as I would like them to be, or it's not like a specific day a week I'm doing this for the team or this for myself.
A little bit more juggling going on. Got it. All right, cool. What is the biggest challenge for you when working with new team members?
I think what can be hard working with new team members, and for those of you on here, I think the challenge for me could be sometimes I feel that people don't ask enough questions, and they don't either want to bother me, or maybe I seem intimidating at this point in my business, or I don't know what it is exactly, but I would just love, and especially I think sometimes when I don't do my own coaching calls, there can be a disconnect because we haven't formed that relationship there. And so that's a bit challenging for me. I think people feel that when they ask me questions, they're bothering me, but no one is bothering me. I really want to help. Like, for me, that's what gets me going, like coaching people and helping them. So I love checking my messages and having messages and being able to help people. So I think that is like the challenge, is people just don't ask the questions that they have. And I really want people to, I guess, if that makes sense.
Any tips on how to coach people or coach your clients through that process so other people can hear how you do it? Like getting them to actually like engage and ask you questions. Like, how do you coach someone to do that?
Yeah, so I think what I'm trying now actually a bit more is to actually ask more questions myself. So if I ask more questions to them and get to know them a bit better and get to know where they're at, then they can answer me back. And then from there, I can springboard and ask them more questions to then build that relationship where we're talking more, and then hopefully have them ask me more questions in the future is what I'm trying now.
Right on. Is there a common, what I'm trying to ask is for new team members coming on, what's like a common struggle you see them have?
Yeah, I think a common struggle for new team members that they have, I would say, is just sometimes sometimes processing all of the information. I think there's so much training now, which is so amazing. But I think sometimes people can get information overwhelmed, and instead of like moving on to that next module or, doing the thing that would kind of move the needle for them most, I think some people get caught up in certain things that aren't necessarily super beneficial or super like going to get them to that next step in their business. I think people kind of get stuck at that point.
Got it. What made the mindset click from being hopeful to definite for you? What was that shift where you're like, I'm going all in?
Yeah. So just turning on the light here. So I think for me, it was, I didn't really have any choice. And then I think also just seeing the potential, like seeing what other people were doing and other people sharing their stories, and literally just knowing like that I have an insane work ethic, and that if other people could do it, that I was going to be able to do it, because I was going to literally just figure it out and dig into all the resources, dig into all the things, and just not stop until I kept going. And so I think like if that's something that you're struggling with, I think it honestly comes down to like asking yourself, like how much you trust yourself, or how much you know that you're going to be able to put in the time, or you're really willing to, commit and do everything. Because if you're willing to literally dig in and do absolutely everything, then all the tools are there for you. And I truly think you can be successful, and you can have that definite mindset.
Yeah, I got a quick question from Monster. She came out, she asked me, she said, because this is going to be really valuable for you guys out there. She said, Ash, before you got to mega stardom, mega success that you've had, how did you frame your advertisements that you were writing, your story ads? Because it's like you couldn't go out there and say, I have this Lamborghini and I travel the world and I do all this other cool stuff. Like, how did you position your ad before you got to the thing?
For sure. Yeah, so it was basically, I was saying kind of like where I was at. So I really just told my story. I told, talked about like what happened at my job and how I got fired for wanting to go on vacation. And really talked about that. So like where I was. And then I talked about, how I watched a web class and what I found. And then, the step-by-step training, the mentorship, and everything that we have here. And then I went into really just like, where it's taking me. Like now I can, be able to travel the world, or now I can like, start imagining my future and start picturing like being able to support my future family. And, I've really found a vehicle that enables me like to actually, get rewarded for get compensated for the work that I put in, and kind of just talk about where I'm going with it. That's how I did, and where I'm going to travel.
Right on. You got some love in the chat from for that question and for that answer. Next question is, how many different ads do you have running right now?
Ooh, I don't even know the answer to that.
A lot.
Yeah.
Would you say more than 5?
Yes, more than 5.
More
now.
than 10?
I have more than 10 campaigns, but I don't know if I have more than 10 different ads. I'd have to think about it. But I have different ads for like, I have a story ad running. I have like a video ad, so like a written ad. I have a video ad, and then different aspects of retargeting and whatnot as well. So yeah, definitely. Interesting.
Right on. How did you start with your ads, and did you start with the travel lifestyle right away? So you kind of touched on this a little bit. You just shared your story. When did the travel lifestyle kick in?
So for me, I was always traveling. Like I had actually left my job a few years ago, or I guess now it was 5 years ago or something. And I actually traveled South America by myself for 7 months. So I was like all about travel all the time. And then I went to Asia for a few months. So that was just always me. And it was always the lifestyle that I was living. I was working corporate jobs for a long time and stuff, but I always loved to travel and stuff. So I knew that that was what I wanted to do. So that was kind of something I always embodied and like was living that I wanted and stuff. But I think if that isn't like the case for you, if you haven't traveled a lot, or if that isn't what you had loved to do in the past, I think that there's a lot of ways that you can still reference it or talk about it. And you can kind of like, there was someone in the community before, Sean and Mel knew really well, but she would always talk about how people loved like, hearing her story and seeing her evolution from working her job to actually like leaving her job and then being able to live this lifestyle, whatever that meant for her. Like, and people love following that journey. So if you're not actually like living that, or you're not, or you've never traveled or anything, like, I don't think that that's a downside. I think people want to see your growth and they want to follow you on that journey. And as you then start living it. So I would say instead of hiding it, bring people along on your journey with you.
That's awesome. Yeah. Document. Really cool. It's a cool process for everyone watching, but also for us to look back on, but then also just the practice of publishing. All right. Next question is, what did your day look like in the beginning besides working on mindset? So I'll throw a time period to it. Like, your first 3 months or so.
Yeah. So basically, in that time, when I was working on the business and stuff, I would literally be watching, like, I made sure to watch all the trainings. I would watch, like, literally go back, and I was like literally taking notes on trainer dies and other types of training so that I would get all the info there. I would, make sure that like my content was posted. I gave myself a go live challenge to do. And then I would look at like different ways that I would reach out to people. So I was literally like, anyone who liked anything on my page at all, I was friending them, sending them a message to try and like get them on board. And I was, what else was I doing? I was, just really being a sponge to any and everything that I could do, and just always asking like, what else could I do? So at that point, I'm trying to think like what else I was doing at that time. I would go through and like I was trying to learn like how to write better ads. In the first 3 months, as I was saying, we had like $11 lead costs. So I was trying to, figure out how to write better ads, learning more about split testing and what I could do there. I was doing some mindset work, but I was also just really plugging in to see like any training that was there that I could learn and taking notes on it. So then I could apply it to my business as well. And like making sure that I was reaching out to people and hopping on calls so I could even learn more as well.
Right on. Okay. So just what I hear is like skill building, writing ads and copy and listening to training and, learning what you need to learn kind of thing. So I think there's multiple things that you shared in there that are really helpful. What has been, actually, no, I'm going to ask that one last. There's two left here. And then we're going to wrap up. Did you start building your business with your hot market or through attraction marketing and ads?
So I started building business with ads and attraction marketing. If you look at my personal Facebook page, actually someone recently said they thought that what I do, like I was a scam, because if you look at my personal Facebook page, I look like lame. Like I literally haven't posted on it and I can't even tell you how long. Like none of our travels, there's not like, I literally don't think there's one picture on mine or Cam's Facebook page, personal pages, from any of our trips, because we literally never used Facebook. Like before, I did not like Facebook before I started this business. Like I never posted anything on it. I still don't post anything on my personal page. So I did not want to do any warm market personally. That's why I wanted to join something like this, so I could run ads on and attract other people, like outside people, and meet like really awesome people I never would have otherwise. But so for me, yeah, it's all been attraction marketing and through Facebook ads as well.
Right on. Okay, last question, Ashley. You're doing great, and thank you so much for letting us and everyone ask you a million questions. There's been some great feedback in the chat, just saying that they're getting a lot out of it. So thank you very much for that. This question is about your best performing ad, like on your business journey. So what I'd like to hear is, because I think that's what they're asking in the question, is the point where it's the first ad that you opened up Ads Manager and you're like, oh my gosh, wait, am I seeing this right? Like this is really working. So can you take us to that moment?
Yeah, I remember exactly where I was and everything. So, but yeah, I think it was a Friday. It was actually in April of 2017. And yeah, and I just remember I think I had set that ad live like that day or something. And and like, also, you guys, like remember all these moments. Like I literally remember exactly where I was when I got my first lead, and how I like freaked out about that. I remember who my first buyer was, who my first like actual person I got affiliate was, like everything. So like these, like definitely like pay attention to all these things because they're awesome to look back on. But yeah, I mean, I just remember like looking at it. I was I was in the desert in California and like just pulled it open and I just could not believe it and was just like freaking out and was like so excited and whatnot. And I feel like I'm not really explaining this moment well, but I just remember exactly where I was and getting like super excited about it and just being like, all right, like this is awesome. This is the ad. It's so cool, but it was so awesome. But then at the same time, I actually kind of freaked out because a few months later or a month later, I don't even remember when it was, maybe it was like a few weeks later, I went to scale it. Like I wanted to set up another demographic for the campaign. And I think I set like 2 up and it literally took like 6 hours to get approved. And so I freaked out and I actually did not set up another demographic for for actually like literally that was April till January. I was too nervous to set up another demographic with that ad. So I had only the ones that I had set and then I just scaled one of them like as high as I felt comfortable doing it because I was too nervous. Because it took like, I mean, now obviously we know like it literally takes, right? It could take like a day to get approved. But at that point, like I didn't know that. And so literally it took me like 6 hours to get approved and I was too scared to set up other campaigns. And so I ended up like, I remember I actually talked to Mel about it when I started an event like that August and ended up writing another ad that I could run instead because I was too nervous.
You're like, I'm not going to touch that. All right. So tell me some of the numbers, like what data did you see that translated to the meaning of, oh my gosh, this is real and awesome?
Yeah. I mean, I think instantly we had just like really awesome lead costs, like literally like $1 or less. And so that is how like, that was like the lowest I'd ever had. So I was just like, wow, this is so awesome. And kind of started freaking out at that point. And then just started like talking to a lot more people. So that was good, like really helpful. And then once I saw like buyers come from it and stuff, that's when, I was like, okay, like this is legit, like this is awesome and whatnot. And Yeah, and I think just getting feedback from other people as well, like in the community that like had been in it longer than me or had known, and just like their responses to my ad was like really encouraging also.
Thanks for listening to Digital Genius Radio. We'd love it if you could share our podcast with 3 others that you think could get some value from it. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel, and remember, hit that notifications button so we can alert you for each new episode that comes out. You're on your way. You've gained knowledge and you've gotten smarter. You're becoming a certified digital genius. To continue on the right path, go to challenge.digitalgeniusradio.com and prove you have what it takes. Again, that's challenge.digitalgeniusradio.com. Enter your name and email and get started becoming a master of your own destiny.